Well, it's Christmas time for the Dodge. I got through digging through my spare water pumps, and they've been getting kicked around in my wet, moist garage for so many years. They're so old and crusty, I just don't trust them to seal up. And go through all the work of installing it just to pull it back out again. So I gave in, and if I was going to get that, I'm just going to fix the cooling system proper. So I got your heater hose, lower radiator hose, upper radiator hose, new thermostat, temperature sensor, V-belt, and the water pump itself. So let me get set up and we'll start putting it back together. I think the first thing I'd like to do though is check that brake master cylinder, see if we lost any fluid since that installation. It's been I don't know, 3 or 4 days. Since we installed that. Look at that, it's still full. That's amazing. Beat up master cylinder really is a fighter. Went from a massive leak to sealing it up. Alright, I gotta find water pump bolts and then we'll be right back. Okay, slight change in plans. I seem to have put the water pump bolts in a safe place, meaning I don't know where I put them. So I gotta spend some time digging around for that. And my personal energy reserves are dropping, so I wanted to do something real quick on this before I have to call it a day. So we're going to open up this thermostat housing and see what there is to see in there, if there's any kind of butchery in it, or if it's actually proper. I know for starters, I notice a double washer there. That always makes me wonder when I see that. Oh no. Oh no. That was easy enough. Don't see any reason for the double washers. It's not like a long shouldered bolt. Washers are technically too big for that. But this bottom one's got me worried. That was my wrench. That is on there. Of course, it's got to be the lower one. The top one is a through hole. That's going to be a blind hole. So if I break that, I will be digging out another. If I break that, I will be drilling out another blind hole. How the hell with it. Alright, let's see if we can break another bolt. Shouldn't be too difficult. Told you. Yeah, that did need to come out. Funny, it looks clean inside the head. Plenty of debris up there. I bet that's the spring. Yeah, out of that upper radiator hose. Yeah, 180. They actually had the proper one in there. So I get to drill out another bolt, clean all this mess up, and I'm just going to get all new hardware. 2 new bolts and 2 washers that are proper. And in the meantime, start hunting for the water pump bolts. I took them in the house to clean them up, and then I put them somewhere, and time to find out where. This is kind of interesting. Vehicle Certicard is still in its holder. Don't see that a whole lot. There's some service records. Can't read that top one. The next one shows, looks like 72. Well, odds are the old trick of welding the nut to the broken stud isn't going to work. It's a good trick when a bolt breaks because it sheared off, or it was weak, or just gave up under stress. But the reason this one broke is because of the bond between the rusted bolt and the head was greater than the strength of the bolt. So I don't really expect to exceed that bond with a welder and a nut, but I'll still try it. Sometimes you get lucky. Once in a great while you get lucky. Notice I said you do. I never said I did. Okay. think that penetrated very well either. Doggone it. Yeah, what do you want to bet that's going to pop right off? I hoped you squinted when I did that. Don't need any blind viewers. Yeah, it's just coming right off. Afraid of that. It didn't feel like I got any penetration on the stud itself. Nah, it didn't do anything to the stud. This is the other obligatory process. Trying to grab it with the vice grips and just have it slip. Or break the rest of the way off. You know, it almost looked like it was wiggling a little bit. I bet it's just twisting. I wonder if I can build up on that stud any. Nope. It's time to go gather up all the tools to drill and tap it again. I'll be back. Okay guys, it's fixed, but it sucked. I did what I did in the water pump one. I just drilled it out until I was just under the tap size, and then just tapped on the remaining threads, crumpled them in, and pulled it out. So I was able to save the factory threads all right. So that's good. But I think either that bolt that was in there, it was either a hardened bolt or I tempered it when I welded on it, because it drilled a lot worse than that water pump bolt did. Because I remember commenting on that water pump bolt, it was an easy drill, it was real soft metal. This one did not drill like that. And for that reason, I'm not going to use this grade 8 bolt to replace it with. And I didn't have the straight shot like I had on the water pump, although I was able to pull the pin on this part of the hinge, the seat hinge, and the whole seat just folds over. That's the mount there, and it just folds over. So I had access like this, which helped, but it meant I've been leaning on this thing. A couple other notes here too. Normally I don't have bad luck with these titanium coated drill bits from Harbor Freight. They're usually pretty good bits, but they did not drill through that thing. They just did not drill through it. I ended up using these from Irwin, which I know is a better brand, but these are just junky carbon steel bits, but they did 100% better job than those titanium coated ones. So disappointment there, but they did okay on the water pump bolt. Alright, I'm gonna put some things away, get myself put together. We'll come back, install the new thermostat, and reinstall the water neck, and that'll be it for now. Next time down here, we'll get on that water pump. Alright, couple of bolts, replacement bolts with the proper washers. Have a 180-degree thermostat. Which is the factory temperature for this thing. I think I need to go grab. I do. I'll be right back. I left the thermostat housing in the garage. Okay, whatever you're working on, you're going to have a recess like this. It'll either be in the housing or on the block, and that's to keep the thermostat centered while you reassemble it, because it would really mess up your days if that thing was to slide down and you clamped it down like that. Even though that helps, you still want to keep a real close attention to it. It's obviously easier on an engine where the housing sits like this instead of a sideways one like this. This brass piece here is the sensor. It needs to be submerged in the coolant that's in the engine. When the engine gets up to 180 degrees, it opens this valve up and allows the coolant to start flowing through. So that always has to be into the block. In essence, the pointed end has to go towards the hose that goes to the radiator. And this gasket I got has the extra protection of having a side that you're supposed to be able to peel off. So that helps keep everything in place for reassembly too. Of course, if you don't have that, there's always old school gasket tack. So put that in there. This engine, there's no need for a thread sealant. Neither of these holes enter a water jacket. This top hole is a through hole. The bottom one is a blind hole. So neither one of them are exposed to coolant. However, as we saw with this one, a little bit of anti-seize wouldn't have been a bad idea. Or just make sure you change your thermostat before 20 or 30 years passes and everything becomes one with each other. Okay. You can also sometimes look down in there to see if it looks like it's still centered properly. Since we have no open gap around here, we know it didn't come out. Obviously there is a torque to this, but good and snug is sufficient. But you can look up the torque spec if you wish to do that. And that's done. So I'm going to wrap this up, and next time we're down here we'll finally get to that water pump. So thanks for watching. See you next time.